We both are lost and alone in the world. Walk with me in the gentle rain. Come, little one, I've a hand for your hand, and I will be your love for a while. I feel your tears as they fall on my cheek. They are warm like the gentle rain. Hush, little one, you have me in the world, and our love will be sweet, very sad, very sweet, like the gentle rain, like the gentle rain.
Hello, and welcome to The Inside Out. That was Lisa Steele. I thought I would start with a little clip of hers just so that you get an idea of who this young lady is. I love her voice, and I am really looking forward to sharing more about her and her journey. She's originally from Long Island, New York, and grew up in a family of musicians, but she didn't pick it up right away. And it's really interesting. And for me, this is the story of somebody who has a gift and only realizes it like later on that it's meant to be shared. And it makes me think, how many of us are out there, with gifts that we're not sharing? So I will, just a little note, I am here answering any messages that might show up while you're watching. If you have questions about Lisa, she's probably watching as well. And just pipe in on the chat and I will reply. Here's Lisa. Welcome to The Inside Out. I am so happy to have you. I've seen your snippets of your songs on Instagram, and every time I'm like, who is this mysterious lady who has this golden voice?
Oh, thank you. Oh my God. Well, I'm so happy to be here, and I do put a lot of snippets. That's a form of creative expression for me.
Uh-huh.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not out doing a lot of shows, and so I just like that format. It's so immediate.
Right.
You do something, you just record something in GarageBand, or I like to sing in my car.
I know.
I have an audience of 0, basically. And I literally like sing in my car, usually at night, at the end of some day of doing something. And I pull into my garage. It's dark in there. It's like a cozy, dark club or something.
Where you are. I love your voice.
Thank you. Thank you.
There's a silkiness to it, and a truth to your delivery, which I really appreciate.
Thank you.
And listening to, and we'll get to this, later when we talk about them, but listening to your EP, like I was like, well, I sense a little bit of Roberta Flack in there.
I get that. That comes up often. Karen Hammock did all those arrangements on that EP for me. I just like her. She's funky.
Yeah.
She gets me. Like I really am not a perfect straight ahead singer. There's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of kind of funkiness and a lot of um I want to say soul, maybe R&B influence. I don't know, just music I listened to when I was a kid. And Karen gets that. She loves that kind of music. She's not, she's not too snobby about it.
Yeah.
And she's just a badass, basically. Basically. Yeah. So
Yes.
she was so perfect. Oh my God. I just love that. I'm really proud of that's the only recording, time I went into a
Yeah.
proper recording studio. That's the only one I have. And I'm really
Mm-hmm.
proud of those songs. I love the fact that they don't sound like, the typical way you would hear them. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yes, exactly. And let's, before we get more into your demo, I want to talk a little bit about your journey
Yeah,
because you grew up in a family that was very musically inclined.
that's right. That's right. Pretty much my entire family are musicians.
Wow.
From my grandmother, she played the piano, my aunts and uncles, usually classical music. That was
Okay.
actually the music that they learned, cello, violin, orchestral music. And so it's just in me. My uncles
Yeah.
are like amazing guitar players. And so I never, besides being in school, right, and going to, being in band and stuff, I never really picked up properly an instrument. And
Uh-huh.
so, voice is my instrument, really. But
Right.
I do have it in me.
You grew up in that. What I find interesting is that you grew up in that environment, yet you didn't really step into it right away.
No, 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 no. I don't know why I didn't. So this is how I stepped into it, actually, to tell you the truth. When I was going to ASU, right, when I was in college, I was hanging out with this group of people. I guess you might want to call them hippies, but it's not really, maybe the right way to say it in the 90s. But at any rate, they were like a funk band called
Uh-huh.
Polywog. And
Yes.
I made friends with the bass player. I'm always making friends with bass players, it seems like. But at any rate, so I made friends with the bass player, and I used to hang out with Polywog. And I don't know what happened. Somehow or another, I just got wrapped up into the scene. And then I got recruited into this band called Scribble.
Mm-hmm. As
It
the
was
lead
kind of a
vocalist.
jazz as the vote, yeah. And I was in Scribble, and we did that a couple times, and that was fun. It was just a little, I was in college. It was something to do. I lived in Tempe. It's a music town. And then one time, this very renowned drummer, jazz drummer in Phoenix, named Dave Cook, walked into
Mm-hmm.
the gig, and he saw me. I was so green. And he came right up to me, and he started talking all this stuff. He's like, I'm going to take you from the background to the foreground. And, because I was kind of hanging back. I was never
Yeah.
like the lead singer type. And he was like, he just was very impressed. He saw quality in me. I
Mm-hmm.
was definitely no kind of finished thing. At any rate, he had an orchestra in Phoenix. And so when I sang with Dave Cook's orchestra, I sang a tune, I was like, I'm out of the pop, funk, whatever this is I'm doing over here. Like this, it was it for me. I've been so lucky, Claude. I've had so many mentors, even for
Mm-hmm.
small periods of time. I don't take it for granted, but people see a quality in me that I feel, they want to nurture or something. And
Mm-hmm.
mentors are so important.
Yeah.
I hope everyone has one, especially if you're a singer or want to be a musician of some kind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So what was it like when you got, working with Dave Cook, who helped you transition, or who was, the element that facilitated your transition from the pop and R&B world into this jazz world, and then you find yourself on stage with how large was his orchestra?
I can't remember, but it was a full-on orchestra. I
Yeah.
felt like it was like baptism by fire. It was shocking. It was a shocking situation. I personally prefer like a trio situation.
Mhm.
I like intimate. I like,
Yes.
you know,
Like your
I can
car.
of my car. I like to perform in my car. I like to play with one musician. That's funny. But no, it put a seed in me though. I'll tell you one thing, he planted a seed in me, and I really feel I don't know, there's just certain people along the way in your journey
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
just have a more lasting impact. They imprint you, if I may
Yeah.
say it that way. Um, and he was one of them. I mean, he was a rascally cat, but he was a beautiful man. He's very elderly at the time. He was already kind of at the end of the game, and he was playing this music when it was the pop music and the top music in this country.
Right. That's amazing. So, you mentioned something that is is quite important, like about planting the seed and meeting people along the way. And we've got to be willing to step beyond our safe boundaries that we've created, the ones that are familiar that we like to play in, and step
Yeah,
into this offering, and we've got to say yes.
yeah, yeah. And it is, I think that's an edge for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
and I think for a lot of people. But it is true. Like if you don't say yes, I mean, it could go well or it might not go well. But if you don't say yes, it's not going to go at all.
Right.
So
You've got a certain amount of daring within you to say yes to these, to pollywag, to scribble,
yeah,
and then to Dave Cook when you were just offered these opportunities. So maybe, was it makes me wonder, was there something inside of you that was wanting to be expressed? And so these situations offered that opportunity.
could be. It could very well be. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I mean, maybe there was something in me. I mean, for sure there was something in me,
I
right?
mean, there is something in you because when you sing, there is something that comes out. There's an energy, there's a beautiful energy that comes out and makes me want to hear more.
We both are lost and alone in the world. Walk with me in the gentle rain. Come, little one, I've a hand for your hand, and I will be alone for a while. I feel your tears as they fall on my cheek. They are warm like the gentle rain. Hush, little one, you have me in the world, and our love will be sweet, very sad, but very sweet.
See what I mean? Oh, and she is such a sweetheart. I love in that clip we just saw the way she says the word fall. Like you feel like you're falling as well. She just gets in there. And that part about saying yes, you know, I have similarly found myself in that situation where I'm not necessarily taking the steps to create, you know, actively taking the steps to create the opportunity to be in the spotlight, and then the offering shows up. And you have to be able to say yes, or you have to be willing, even if you're not able. Sometimes we say yes, and we think, oh my God, what did I just say? That's happened to me a while. I spent too long of a time saying I was going to be a yes to everything because I felt like I still had a lot to discover. But back to Lisa, I love that about her. She's not one to put herself in the spotlight, but she has this gift that definitely wants to be shared. And she finds herself saying yes. Was there something inside of you that was wanting to be expressed?
I think part of these things can never be explained. I mean, you can try to parse it a little bit, but there is
Right.
a bit of a mystery somewhere. And also, I think some of us have been given different gifts. This is my opinion. And so, you know, I mean, even just being raised in a family of musicians is a gift in a sense.
Yeah.
But also there's certain talents and certain qualities that each of us bring. They're ours to bring if we choose to. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just feel so lucky that this happens to be one of mine. I do feel very grateful. That's something that I feel called to do, that I love to do, that I want to do at the level that I do it is something that is appreciated and
Yeah.
acknowledged. It means a lot.
Yeah.
And it's encouraging too, also.
Totally.
Yeah.
So you didn't pick it up right away, and then you find yourself sort of thrust into these bands.
Yeah.
But then you put it down again, it seems. I think, as I
I
understand
put it
your
down. I went and was living my life. I was, you know, I've never really pursued this like a career, like I'm
Mhm.
trying to make it type of thing. This is just part of my life journey,
Mm.
and you know, I've weaved in and out of it. You know, so I think for many years it wasn't something I did other than you know karaoke night. But even if I would go to karaoke night with people, of course, nobody pays attention to anybody at karaoke night. You're there to drink and have
Right.
fun. Even
Right.
if I would go to karaoke night, like people that weren't in my group would stop and
Right.
look, you know, so you
Right.
know you have something. But yeah, you know, I went off track and did, you know, just lived my life and had fun. And there was a recession in 2008 or 2000.
Yes.
Basically, the whole thing collapsed, right? The whole
Right.
system. And so I had a few months not to like worry about, you know, getting another job and stuff. And so I was just like, what do I want to do with my time? And
Right.
so I think that's when, you know, I was just looking for fun, creative things to do around that time. And just at the meetups, like I got recruited. You know what, musicians, it's so cool. I don't know, I shouldn't probably, but I just love when musicians, especially as a singer, when a musician pulls you
Yeah.
out. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
know, you're doing a good job, right? Because they,
Right.
you know,
Right.
whatever. But at any rate, so there was a musician that I forget his name, Robert, and he was a jazz musician, and he had a regular gig at some yacht club or some kind of club in Marina Del Rey. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name of it. And I think he saw me at the meetup or something, and he asked me to, you know, to perform with his band. They had like a weekly thing or something, and so I started doing. That's when I started That's when I got back in officially.
Gotcha.
So nice, I'd be paradise to come home to and love. No, wait, it's me. It's my turn. You'd be so nice to come home to. Knees on high, saying, oh, you'd be all I could desire. On the stars, chilling by the winter. On that August moon, burning the fire. You'd be so nice. You'd be paradise to come home to and love.
Aside from the musicians who notice you and who want to work with you,
Yeah.
you know, there still is something within, you know, within you that makes you say yes to these people. You're like always, yeah, totally, I'm going in. And I just love that about your journey.
Yeah. I love it. I love singing. I think I was meant to do this. I think I have to come back around to this idea of mentors. Because
Yes.
when I met Kathy Siegel Garcia and then Julie Kelly, I started getting better. I started really understanding what this whole thing about jazz singing was about. You know, and it's one thing to listen to the greats, you know, Billie. I mean, I had already been imprinted by Billie Holiday, like she is the prototype for me. But there's something about what you learn from another human being in the same space that's already a master at what you're trying to do. And so, and that also pulls you into community, if I might say. And I don't know, I feel like that's also been a fuel and a juice for me, because it helps me really understand more about the craft of this thing. You know, there's so much natural talent or whatever you want to call it can do for you, but at some point you know you have to start, especially with something like jazz, you need to understand the craft, the type of training I have done, which is in these vocal workshops and also listening, you know, my own kind of own education that I came up with on my own has really blossomed this thing within me. And I just love, and can I give a shout out to Amy Winehouse? I know that's not in this question, but I love her for the same reason I love Billie Holiday. These are individuated musicians. They're individuated. Maybe they started mimicking someone else when they were learning, but they figured out what their space was and they occupy their space. They don't occupy someone else's space. You know, it's not like, oh, I'm going to get like Ella. That's her space.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that is so much part of the journey, you know, as an artist, is to find your voice and then to live in that space, you know, grow with it, whatever ends up happening, but to really find your own voice.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where mentors and teachers can come into play, even musicians, because they're invested in that process. Yeah. And it's not a linear process, or it wasn't for me anyway. But I think the imprint is part of what kind of informs how that goes, because like one of the things that really is important to me as a listener, when I'm listening to someone else, and I mean instrumentalists, singers, or whatever, is I'm so curious about how they inhabit the material. It's different than performing the material, in my opinion. You know, someone like Billie Holiday inhabits her shit.
Yeah. Yeah. How do you inhabit yours?
Yeah.
And so where would you say your individuation process is, and how do you inhabit your material?
That's a good question. I feel like I have so much to learn still and grow.
Yeah, and I think it's part of our journey, the excavating all the time and trying to peel away, continue always peeling away the layers
Yeah.
to get to the core of the whatever it is we are wanting to express.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's true. And that's just, I don't think that ever ends.
No, you're
I don't
right.
know if it
You're
does.
right. It feels like you're kind of feeling your way into this thing that keeps pulling you towards it.
Yeah.
And
Great way of naming it. Pulling
yeah.
me towards it is correct, because I am not an extroverted person.
Mm,
I don't really enjoy being in the spotlight. So I
mhm.
go there because that's where they tell me I have to stand. But that's what I have to do what I want to do. Sing this music. Um, but
Yeah, yeah. She goes where they tell her to go to do what she wants to do. It's so funny. And Roland, to your point, like you said, you saw her in those workshops, and there's that beginning when somebody is really shy and doesn't want to be in the spotlight, doesn't feel that that's their home for whatever reason, and that was me. um, and so you stay on the sidelines. For me, it was because I didn't think I had anything of value to share. Now I understand that everyone has something of value to share. And if you don't share what you have inside, the gifts that you have been given, I don't know, are you robbing others of them stepping into their gifts? It's part of the reason why I do this show, to to shine a light on those of us that are at whatever point in our artistic journey, how we are stepping into sharing our gifts, and hopefully that helps another person who has something they want to share move forward. And I love how she talks about it wasn't a straight path, it's a winding path. You get obstacles, you go to the left, or you go to the right, when maybe going straight would have been quicker. But I've come to understand that there are no mistakes, and it's a mistake to think it is a mistake, because every step of the way, it informs the next step. You learn something if you're willing to receive the experience, whether it feels good or bad. We learn in all of those experiences, and our hearts and our resolve grows stronger so that we can take the next steps. That's how I see it. Feel free to share your point of view in the chat room. And in that clip, she was performing with Philip DeLeon. I'm not sure that those credits showed up. In case they didn't, now you know. Yeah, and how natural she seems. But as performers, we often do not show what's going on the inside, because we've got a show to put on. Let's talk about your demo session. So you did that during the break that was offered to you by the recession. Talk
yeah,
about.
a little bit after that, a little bit after that, I did. Yeah, it was kind of at the tail end of that. Kathy Siegel Garcia produced that. Just such good energy. And then there was this guitar. I wanted guitar so bad. On the EP demo sessions is the name of it. I wanted guitar. I wanted that flavor. And so I don't remember who found Andrew Sinowick is his name. He's a session player in town. he just added the right amount of sprinkling and spice on that record.
Karen Hammack was on piano.
And Karen was on piano.
Yeah.
Yeah. She played, and she was the musical director. She wrote me the best charts, as I mentioned. Chris Colangelo on bass, and Peter Buck was on drums. Yeah. I do have aspirations one day of doing a full record.
Oh, good.
I'd like to do a full record.
Yeah. There, your vocals on that on demo sessions, they're so full, and at the same time you bring clarity, and you bring to these songs your own personality. Like on the song endings, you add your own little tidbits, which I thought was, oh wow, I like that. It just makes it really your own.
Yeah. I have to thank you for that. Yeah. Kathy helped a lot with that, because she's very playful. And you kind of need, I kind of need that foil. I find it's to bring out that more playful side, because you're trying to, sing well, you're trying to sing in tune,
Mm-hmm.
And
right.
So, and then there's that place. It's like, but here's the thing about improvising and if you want to call it that, singing alternate melodies and that sort of thing, something very specific wants to come through. And also, I feel like when I do things like that, I don't do a lot. I don't change things a ton. You can get a lot of effect, sometimes less with less. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, as they say, less is more. You do Moon River on this album, and I love the upbeat tempo that you chose to do for Moon River. There is hope in your version. And I love that. Your version feels like, this kid who's about to go out on a journey to realize their dreams.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like to me.
I'm not going to get emotional, but yeah, I feel like that makes me so happy that you said that, because I feel like that's what I was hoping to get across. And that's what was coming forth in me in terms of the message or the story. Karen Hammack, I'm going to name drop her all through this thing, but she's the one that came up with the Latin feel, I think.
Really?
And I think I heard a guitar player online once that was doing that song in 4/4.
Ah, okay.
And I just loved it. And I think I shared that with her. I'm not quite clear, but it was, that's in waltz, and we didn't do it as a waltz, right? Which is kind of sacrilegious, probably.
No.
But I feel like it worked. It worked.
It totally works.
Yeah.
It's surprising, because I don't know that I've ever heard it done in that kind of a tempo. So it's surprising, and, made me wonder, oh, where is this going? But as I listened, it just felt just right with your timbre of voice and the way you navigated the melody. It was really beautiful. It is really beautiful.
Thank you so much. Thank you. One of the tunes that didn't make it on the EP, because quite frankly, I hit a wall. I just couldn't execute what I wanted. But I have this amazing track for Afro Blue.
Oh my God, I love that song.
Ooh, girl, if you heard this track, it is unbelievable. It's so good. She did all of these like kind of blue, like modal Miles Davis chords and stuff to it. It's really a hit track.
Was it Karen again?
Yeah, it was done at the same time we did all the other tunes. It just didn't make it on the EP. Yeah, maybe I'll do that this year. We'll see. It's so interesting. I literally called time on that. Like it was like I was so frustrated with myself because I couldn't, I specifically asked for this ending that is very open. And so there was a lot of improvising needed to happen because there was just a lot of space before the band, rolled down in the track. And I felt like I couldn't come up with the ideas that,
Right.
justified that taking up that much space. And so I just kind of shut it down. Since I recorded the EP, I've sung that song a couple of times, and once in Julie Kelly's workshop, I think a year or two ago, and I really felt much more comfortable in the end. Like
Mm.
it was a signal. It's like, oh, I guess I grew into this song.
I don't know why, but I'm feeling so sad. I long to try something I never had. I never had no kissing. Oh, what I've been missing. Lover man, oh, where can you be? The night is cold, and I'm so all alone. I'd give my soul just to call you my own. Whole lot of moon above me, but no one to love me. Lover man, oh, where can you be? I've heard it said that the thrill of romance can be like a heavenly dream. I go to bed with a prayer that you'll make love to me. Strange it seems, one day we'll meet, and you'll dry all my tears, then whisper sweet little things in my ear, hugging and a kissing. Oh, what we've been missing. Lover man, oh, where can you be?
It's like you growing into this this gift that you have.
Yeah.
It's and along your whole journey, you have said yes so many times to offerings that have helped move you forward on this journey towards being more and more in your sharing your gift more and more.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little shocking actually to hear you express it that way. And I think it's so because I don't identify as much with the yes. The
Mm.
yeses, where I have said yes. I
Mhm.
had to be in the right place in the right time. I had to say yes, sure. But, it was like I was invited into someone else's party. And,
Yeah.
it feels, it was kind of nice. And so I think it's very helpful for me to hear when you talk about kind of the longer story and, all the places that I have said yes in a more generative way. Like this
Mhm.
is actually a part of, a part of creating what has happened or what you've been able
Mhm.
to do with your
Yeah.
talent.
Mhm. What is it that you are wanting to create for yourself?
I think it might be time to take up some more space,
Oh,
actually.
thank you.
It's like, let me take a glass, take a sip of water before I say that. No, I think it might be time to expand the footprint.
Mm.
And I think that means, a willingness to kind of rebalance the amount of time spent on the internal and the gestational and the creative process, and to say, like, this is what it is now,
Yeah.
and to to get out there more. It feels like there's an opportunity for reset of some kind.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that I've gone through a lot of good things and a lot of bad things too. We don't have to get into all that, but I have a lot to offer. I think even a lot more to offer now. And it will be interesting to see, like, you know, and I sing differently. I don't sing the same as I used to.
Right.
I think it would be interesting and fun for me to see, like, you know, who's Lisa now, you know, as a musician, as a singer, and what that might bring to a project. Oh, I'm getting excited thinking about it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Cool. I love that. I want to, you know, close out with one more question, you know, that what's come up a few times, and we won't go into them, is that you've hit your, you know, you've hit certain roadblocks at times. There have been certain hardships. And my sense is that it's part of the journey, you know, that that these roadblocks are opportunities for us each and every time to reaffirm our choice of direction.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, I don't know, something in particular or a feeling that in those moments when you hit those roadblocks that helped you to move forward, to say, yeah, this is hard right now, and I'm still going to continue, and I'm reaffirming my choice as an artist?
Two things have really helped me to, I guess, pick myself up, or just kind of write that track. And I think one is something spiritual, something I don't really have a name for. I don't know if it's guides or whatever. I mean, I don't know what I believe, but I feel like there's a power and a force that is available to me in those moments, and that has gotten me through a lot. And the other thing is just friends and family. I think the company you keep is really important, especially if you're an artist and you're a very sensitive person, as I am. You know, energy is a real thing. And I have been very grateful and lucky, and I think somewhat generative, of pulling good energy people around me. And that has been, my neighbors are coming home right now. I think that has helped me in those moments where I felt like I hit a wall. You know, so many of us, especially Black women, I think, we feel that we have to be strong all the time, or we have to be there for others. We take it on. It happens even without even trying, it feels like. And so it's almost revolutionary to say someone else can come and help you. You know what I mean? Like, help you recenter yourself, and that it's not something necessarily like you have to do on your own. And so I think I really have to give a lot of gratitude to so many people I can't even name, that have helped me, you know, find myself again, and remind myself. That might even be a better description. Just remind myself, this is who you are. This is who you are, you know. And yeah, I think that's the best two ways. There's just an energy, a force, a something, and then my connections, my tribe, my people, my family.
Yeah, beautiful. We don't have to be like an island in the sea.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me on your show.
And that is Miss Lisa Steele. You can find her album, or her EP, which is called Demo Sessions, is available on Spotify. So you can find her there. You can find her on Instagram at Lisa Steele Music, and also on Facebook at Lisa Steele. And it sounds like you'll be able to find her around town soon enough. I am so excited, and it was just so special to literally be there as she was making the choice to step into bigger shoes. That felt so special, because I really feel like she truly has a gift. Before I end the show, I'm going to end it with one last video of Lisa doing her thing. But the live session that you saw with her, like the house concert, on piano was Matt Politano. On bass was Gabe Davis, that I've played with quite a few times, who was just amazing. And on drums, Paul Taverner. And you know, I'm looking forward to hearing more of her. Next month, before I close it out, next month I've got Marsha Bartonetti, who is joining me and sharing her story. And again, another beautiful story about who's behind that persona that we see when they're performing, when they're doing their thing, when they're expressing their craft. As for me, I'm in the process of working on my album, which is why I'm not performing on these shows. I've paused that for now so that I can focus on the songs that will go on the album. I'll share more about that with you along the line. You can catch me on Instagram. I do small snippets there. Claude Hall Songstress. On YouTube, Claude Hall Official, where you might be watching this here now. And my website is Claude Hall Jazz. So, and you can find my music on all of the major platforms, including Amazon, Spotify, and all of those. Thank you so much for joining, for sticking around. And let me see what else is in the chat room. Thanks, Angelo. Yeah, thank you for tuning in. And here you go. One last snippet of Lisa before we take this out. And thank you for joining. And remember, we all have gifts to share. We all have something that will brighten another person's life. So why hold on to it for yourself? See you next month on The Inside Out.
Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am free again. Whenever I'm alone with you, you make me feel like I am clean again. However far away, I will always love you. However long I stay, I will